We are here tonight to talk about nutrition, and as Ozzy beautifully put it, this is a fundamental aspect of our lives, right? Like nobody can survive without eating anything, and everyone, since like they were a little kid, they had to think about what they should eat. And so I grew up in southeastern Mediterranean and Turkey, and in my hometown, food is a very important part of our lives. We are picky, we don't like everything, we want our olive oil to be the first cold press, we don't like the olive oils that you guys eat here. And so that pickiness transforms into a culture, and food becomes your culture, it becomes your identity. But as a scientist, I questioned how does food defines who we are at the molecular and cellular level, and this is very important. And I will highlight how we unpack that problem, because everything we know about who we are goes through the things that we eat. We are, at the end of the day, carbon and hydrogen and oxygen and nitrogen. This is our chemical makeup. And we incorporate these things based on the things that we get from environment, mostly in the form of food. So the title is Precision Nutrition. Precision nutrition. Why precision nutrition? Because everyone, when I give a talk, asks me, what should I eat? I have this health problem, what should I eat? I have, not much motivation to start my day, what should I eat? What we eat, as I told you, would define who we are. But how does this work? How does this happen? And how this can become applicable to general human population is not known at all. So I will give you the sad news that there will be no recipes. There may be some special information that you may take with you and make jokes about it later. But tonight will be spent mostly to provoke some thought on how we can reach on precision nutrition, and how in maybe a few years, when I give a talk, I can tell you that, okay, Tom, you need to eat this in the morning, and Hillary, you need to do that in the afternoon. But there's a long way for that. So these are some images that we take in our labs. They're beautiful. Each of them represents a cell or a DNA or molecules that we study. So I want to start with this, taking a step back and looking at how did we as humans evolve the food that we eat today, or we co-evolved with what we ate. So for millions of years, humans experimented different type of food source as their preferential diet. And that's basically going from omnivores to carnivores. Mankind, when they invented fire and cooking, they introduced different forms of diet into their daily lives. And then I think explosion started around 10,000 years ago with our ability to learn and start farming and cultivate things, which generated grains and agriculture. And then we started making bread in ancient Mesopotamia. Bread was the food of the gods. Gods were sending the bread, and if you are a king and queen, you can eat the bread. If you are a peasant, you cannot. So bread was the most important thing in 5,000-6,000 years ago that defined, nutrition in Mesopotamia. And then, civilization brought us here. We are in, New York, and we have access to Little Vincent's Pizza and, Popeyes and fried chicken. Mac and cheese is one of my favorite things to eat, hand knows. So it's highlighted up there. Vauxhall has good burgers. Do you guys make food here? No, right? No food. Okay. Try their mezcal old fashioned. I vouch. Industry is known for that. That's what I am drinking. But anyway, coming to the point, overnutrition and undernutrition, collectively defined as malnutrition, right now is our biggest problem. So in the Western world, industrial world, we have easy access for food that we don't run and hunt and fight to get. Okay, our ancestors, shown here in the purple color, they had to run for food. Now we run for joy. We have some athletes in the room, they swim for not just joy, but for raising funds for research. So thank you, Steve and Kevin and all the Swim Across America team here. They are supporting our research, and this is, like an amazing thing. So I want to recognize what you do. In addition, majority of our population, they eat, but they don't run and they don't raise funds. They just sit and they come and they say, all right, doctor from Harvard, Ph.D., what should I eat? So I'll come to that. But anyway, so the diseases that are associated with malnutrition are basically every single disease that you can think about. And malnutrition is very common. These are some concerning facts for you. So let's name those diseases. Obesity. America right now is, 1 in 3 American person is obese, and in, I think, 7 years, majority of the American population will become overweight or obese. So that's a very concerning fact. Heart disease, diabetes, cancer, they all come with these overnutrition and lack of physical activity problems. That's the disease of Western society. Okay, we have very easy access to sugar that we didn't run for. We have very easy access for the fat that we didn't, climb the mountain to hunt and bring the food back. So this is what our ancestors did. Instead, we sit on our computers, respond to emails, we do all the things that makes us busy during the day, and then we go to a restaurant and we eat. And then we have problems, and then we come to a nutrition seminar and we say, okay, what do I eat? All right, so wait for it, it's coming. Undernutrition is a big problem for less developed parts of the world, including in America. There are a lot of undernutrition problems, especially for children and infants. Undernutrition is a big problem for wasting and stunting and child mortality, also predisposes for infection. So heart disease, depression, these are things that happens every day, and whenever it happens, you ask yourself, and to me when you see me, what should I eat? So, let's go. You are what you eat, I'll give you that. But we don't know how. So whatever you eat is influencing who you are and the diseases that you may get, or the definition of health is variable, but when you feel healthy and happy, that's also contributed by what you eat. So, in our research, we ask that question. Yes, you are what you eat, but how? Are you really what you eat? I need to know exactly from the minute that you start chewing this amazing, medium rare, center cut, filet mignon, what is going on? Your brain is liking it, your gut is getting ready to digest it, then what? So we knew for the past 100+ years that nutrients, the things that you eat, can generate energy. Energy is the currency of your cells. There is no free thing in your cells. If you want your cells to work, to function, and to keep you alive, you need to eat and generate ATP. ATP is a molecule that's like money for cells, right? So if a cell needs to do something, it needs to generate ATP. Same thing about building blocks. So cells are like buildings, like houses. So you need to make bricks, you need to put pipes. So these building blocks are generated from proteins and lipids and sugars, the things that you eat. And if you don't eat them, you don't have a house, so you die. And so we knew about the mechanisms, how when cells are making themselves and when tissues are forming, what are the things that are integrating into this complex structure. What we didn't know for a very long time, and now with my research and other people in the world, they are finding some remarkable elements that what you eat in the form of these nutrients, the protein and the fat and the sugar, also influences what kind of a cell is your cell gonna become. Right? We all have different personalities, so our cells. Our cells change their mood, change their behavior. And this is drastically influenced by what you eat. So that's, at the molecular cellular level, I can look under the microscope and I can study it. And Steve here on the front row, he came to the lab and he saw how we study individual components of our diet can act in our cells and interact, and we study cancer, we study stem cells, so we can study that, but that's not gonna allow me to give you a recipe at the end of the day, right? I will tell you come in 50 years, because right now I'm studying it on a dish. I don't know how it will affect Tom or Hillary or Steve or Sam or Ozzy. To do that, we need to take another step back and look into the puzzle. So the puzzle is very complicated. Nutrients can affect these cells, and at the lab we grow these cells on a dish so we can understand how nutrients are affecting cells. So we study fat, so we can give different types of fat precursors like fatty acids and ask how does it affect cell type A versus cell type B. And then the complication arises is when you eat something, it's not in isolation, it's not on a lab dish. It affects many cell types at the same time. So when you look at a tissue, it contains many functional different units. It has neurons, it has immune cells, it has microbes, it has epithelial cells. And our favorite tissue to study that is the gut. Why? Because when you eat something, it goes to your gut, and that's the port of entry into your system. And gut is very important in maintaining your overall health. So we focus on the gut, but we study other organs and tissues as well. And then so we understand also, we try to understand how the communication between different organs, like gut and brain, like gut and liver, is influenced by what you eat. The most human relevant setting that you need to pay attention, and this is the gap between what we do in the lab and the answers that you want for your questions, right? So I can do experiments on a dish, I can do experiments in a mice, I cured cancer in mice many times. To cure cancer in humans, to give a recipe to a human, we need to acknowledge the fact that humans are different. Humans are not mice and different than one another. Humans come in different flavors, such as different body mass index. Someone can be lean, someone can be obese, someone can be moderate weight, and someone can eat a lot of burgers from Vauxhall and a lot of burgers from Little Winston's and have an old-fashioned with mezcal from industry and still be relatively thin and happy and healthy, like me. But that doesn't solve our problem, right? So humans are different, we come in different flavors, age is a big component on how food is going to influence who we are. Ancestry, right? Like we come from different parts of the world. I'm from southeastern part of Turkey, Ozzy from the Aegean side next to Greece. So we have different diet, different cuisines. Tom, where are you from? Midwest? Manhattan. Tom is from New York City. Steve is from Long Island, right? So we come from different parts of the world. So ancestry, genetics play a huge role in how what you eat is going to influence who you are. The other aspect, disease. So, food can affect things that are different when you are healthy or when you have a disease. Context dependence of food is remarkable. Think about, for example, what supplements you get for like fatty acids, okay? And think about what you think is healthy and what you think is not healthy. Cool. So, our goal in the lab is to develop mechanism-based precision nutrition, meaning that answering the question of how. Since, you were a little baby, you would eat things starting with breast milk and then introduce solid food. I know that because we are in that process right now again. And then you start introducing Little Vincent and burger and other things. So from that early moment on, your identity, your cells, your organs are shaped by what you eat. But we don't know how. So how is the mechanism? Meaning that you ate a fatty acid from a fish that went to your gut. It got absorbed. It activated 5 cells, 10 cells that you can measure. Then they did something to make you more healthy. If your nutritionist that you go to buy your supplements from Stop and Shop cannot tell you that, then that means we don't know the answer. When the nutritionist can tell you that, and you should ask your nutritionist, right? Like, do we know how does this work? Then we know the answer, right? But I can tell you now, I'm doing that research because we don't know the answer. All right, so that's the dream. So now I'll show you what's the reality. I think some people in this audience are lucky to know that the reality exists. That's reality number one. It's a Mediterranean kebab. You cannot find this in a Michelin 3-star restaurant. This is our center cut filet mignon on the right, and here represented in different form of cooking. This is without saturation effect on enhancement. This is the real colors. These are lamb leg, carved, individual muscles dissected, neurons are removed, marinated, and then cooked. Onur can tell you it's pretty soft and delicious, right? Right? Yeah, so Onur is a graduate student in the lab. He does amazing work, so I'll highlight some of his work later on. But that's where we are at. Like, that's the recipes I can give you today. But without the recipes, I will tell you something. This is the dream. This is what we are working towards. What is the promise of mechanism-based nutrition? Malnutrition is the problem. What's the solution? When you do mechanism-based nutrition, you understand from the moment of consumption of a diet, what is it exactly doing? That allows you not only go to a restaurant or go seek a nutritionist and be like, okay, like tell me what should I eat. It can allow you to turn food into a medicine. So what is medicine? You know, you take Advil, you read the prescription. It tells you that take 2 of those every 6 hours for 4 days. Because someone did the experiment and have shown that if you take this, 2 doses in this duration, it increases in your blood and it does what it's supposed to do. For food, it's more complicated because for food to be able to be incorporated into your system, your genetics play a role, your gut microbes play a role. There are many variables. That's why it took much more time for food to become medicine, right? But this was the dream of humanity. Ask your grandmother. Ask her grandmother if you can talk to her. Every time in humanity, humans try to make food a medicine. Like traditional Chinese medicine, ancient, like read the scriptures of all of the, initial giants of medicine. They try to experiment with food. Why we failed? Because it's complicated. That's it. We just need to admit it's complicated. We need more research and we need mechanism-based discoveries to make food as medicine. So what we do in the lab, we work on the mechanisms, we work on the cells, we work on the tissues, we work on the genes. Then we define how does what you eat in the form of diet and specific components influences you being more healthy or you being more sick. And then we do data-driven models to predict what are the individual targets that are doing it, so that you can either generate specific diets for that, or you can do what the pharma companies doing for like Advil and painkillers and other things. You can develop new drugs that would target that, so that food and the medicine can act together to treat your disease, such as cancer. So what's the most common side effect of cancer treatment? If you have unfortunately, if you know someone who had cancer, you would know. I was unfortunate because a lot of my loved ones had cancer. Some of them passed away. They always asked me, I feel really bad, like my gut is bloated, I have diarrhea, what should I eat? And I always told them, I don't know. Then I came to Cold Spring Harbor, Onur joined, and then several others, and then we did some experiments. We tried to understand how food can make our gut more resilient towards damages. This is one of the most groundbreaking studies that we did at Cold Spring Harbor, and now we are hoping to take this towards clinic in less than 4 or 5 years. This is the dream that is now at the verge of to turn to reality. We can prescribe a food and a mechanism that can be targeted by a drug like chemotherapy, and then help a cancer patient to eradicate the cancer and not to have the side effects anymore. That's the magic that I'm talking about. We are gonna get there. We need to be patient. Science, is not instant gratification. When you find it, when you make this discovery, Onur knows, Ozzy knows, Jermaine, do you know? Have you discovered something? Yeah, she knows. It takes time. We discover it, that's what motivates us. to, like go walk from one failure to another, wake up again in the morning, come to the lab and do that experiment again. Because science is finding something in this, in a dark room. Don't turn off the lights, but imagine if the lights are turned off here, who can find the exit? Maybe the ones that were here many times before, but not the people who weren't here, multiple times, or who doesn't have photographic memory, right? So science is like that. In order to find something, sometimes you need to try 99 times, and in the 100th trial, you find the discovery. And it takes a lot of effort, and all this work that I mentioned to you is now allowing us to define, like how we are what we eat. Most importantly, have a future that we can shape rationally with the food that we consume. All right? And with that, I want to thank the real heroes. I'm just here telling you, like what these guys are doing. I'm helping them, but it's Onur, it's Ozzy, it's Jermaine, it's Elif. We have a great team in my lab. A lot of young students, trainees coming from all around the world. And then this is Luna, our dog. And I want to thank a lot of people that supported our work. Cold Spring Harbor is an amazing place for a young scientist like me to come and start the lab. I don't know if you go to big universities, it's not very easy for a freshly minted Ph.D. from Harvard to come and be like, I'm gonna figure out like how what you eat defines who you are. They're not gonna give me $2 million to go after these crazy ideas. But I'm fortunate because Cold Spring Harbor did that. More importantly, many other people believed us, including Swim Across America, the team that Steve is bringing together, and Kevin and others. They supported us for some of the work that we do. It's a collective effort. I value these type of events a lot because it is the partnership of the community, the society, with the science that is going to make the real impact. And that happens a lot in human history. Last I remember it was Renaissance, so it's been a couple of centuries. So hopefully we will do it again this time. We have been separated a little bit, but science and society will make the real impact, and together we will answer all the questions that you may have. With that, ask me anything.